why hasn't the prototype killed us yet? So far, we've been fighting toy after toy, all of which the prototype threw at us to stop or slow us down, but we've succeeded every single time. We got rid of Huggy, Mommy, Miss Delight, and Catnap, but somehow we're still alive. If every enemy that the prototype has used failed, then why hasn't he finished the job himself? Well, maybe the prototype doesn't actually want to kill us, at least not right away. Perhaps he knows how capable we actually are, just like Poppy says to us. What if it was his plan all along for us to destroy the evil toys he sent our way? Let's start from the very beginning. Recently, I've brought up the Find the Flower letter a lot, but that's because there's a lot of information to gather from it. For one, there's a few mistakes. Disappeared is spelled incorrectly, and in the word weird, the apostrophe is in the wrong spot. This indicates that a child or a toy that used to be a child sent us this letter. There's been theories that Crafty Corn wrote this because it's written in red ink, and we know that she has a weird obsession with the color red.
Now, can you give me some red? More red, please. Out? But we can't be out. You're hiding more red from me. I know you are. Give it here! Now that's much better.
It's also theorized that because she likes to draw, she was involved in painting the giant poppy flower near the catwalks in chapter 1. But how would Crafty Corn know about us, and why would she want us to return to the factory? Besides, being a part of the Smiling Critters, she doesn't really serve any other significance in the game, at least right now, and we can also assume that the Smiling Critters were killed by Catnap closer to the Hour of Joy, meaning that she wouldn't have been alive to write that letter. Lastly, since her character loves to color, it wouldn't be a stretch to assume that she was once a child, and her note specifies that the staff are still here, not the children, so it doesn't quite add up. As far as other characters, Dog Day couldn't have written this letter since he's chained up, and Poppy didn't write it because she was stuck in her case for 10 years. So who could it be? Maybe it's the prototype behind this letter. He might not have written it, but he could have had a toy to do it for him. This toy most likely was a child, as seen by the grammatical issues in the letter. They could have even faked the mistakes as a way to guilt trip the player, making us come back for the children. And it makes sense, since toys that are still following the prototype are mostly former children enraged with Playtime employees for the Bigger Bodies initiative. Toys that used to be staff, like Brawn, are constantly seen around Chapter 3 being brutalized, most likely during the Hour of Joy by followers of 1006 due to the rift that grew between the resentful children and staff. So this letter could have just been a ploy by the prototype to get us to come back and possibly get revenge. But why us? Well, in a previous video, I speculated that the player actually had something to do with the Hour of Joy. This is due to the VHS tape that we heard during our hallucinations in Home Sweet Home, in which a reversed voice through the radio told us that we were supposed to be there, but we missed the events and any possible planning that led up to it. So we definitely played an important role on that fateful day. But for some reason, we were a no-show, and our survivor's guilt was on display for pretty much all of Chapter 3. I also spoke about how it was possible that human employees could have helped with the Hour of Joy due to the fact that it could have been a human worker who released Kissy Missy straps in her VHS tape. So let's say we were an employee that took a vow to jumpstart the Hour of Joy, but chickened out last minute or were prohibited by something. Miss Delight even questions our existence, possibly indicating that we were present on that fateful day.
Wait, I recognize you. Yes, I remember. You used to work here. How are you? Alive.
We were supposed to team up with him 10 years ago, but we might have betrayed him in some way. This could be his twisted way of getting revenge on us. For example, Catnap didn't immediately kill Dog Day, but instead he tortured him because he knew that Dog Day was the true leader of the Smiling Critters and was a threat. He also disliked the fact that Dog Day was a heretic, so he wanted his death to be slow and painful. It could be the same for the prototype, angry at us for being absent during the hour of joy.
Your presence was demanded 10 years ago and you didn't show up. 8/8/1995. You were supposed to be here. Why weren't you here? You missed the event. You missed the meeting. You missed the party.
And because of this, he decided to unleash every weapon he had so that we would have to fight for our lives in order to find out what happened to the staff. Also, all of the enemies that we had to fight didn't kill us right away. They waited and almost toyed with us for a little while. Even Huggy and Mr. Light, who are both insane and incredibly hungry, held off for a bit before trying to kill us. So maybe the prototype told his minions to stay low and play with their food just so that the experience is all the more traumatizing for us. And this kind of makes sense. The prototype's whole entire goal was to seek revenge on evil employees for what they've done to the toys, and it's no secret that we have a dark past. Chapter 3 has emphasized the guilt that the player feels, as we have seen many clues indicating that we worked with the children possibly involved in the Bigger Bodies initiative. But what if the prototype knew that we would be able to defeat the threats he threw at us? Sure, we endured trauma from Huggy, mommy issues from Mommy Longlegs, and PTSD from Mr. Light. Plus, we got drugged by Catnap, but at the end of the day, we still came out on top. At this point, the prototype has to know what he's doing. We're defeating more and more enemies, but he doesn't seem to be in a rush when it comes to exterminating us. The first theory, and arguably the most boring, is that the prototype just likes to play games. Similar to Mommy, he wants to see how capable we are, giving us the illusion that we actually have the opportunity to escape the factory. Perhaps the prototype just wanted to prolong everything so that the final kill and act of revenge would be more satisfying, but there has to be more to his plan. The second theory is that the prototype is using us to kill toys so that he can collect more body parts. Subject 1006 is one fascinating specimen, and we don't know what he looks like. We also know, based on Catnap's shrine in Mommy's last words, that he collects pieces of toys to build himself up. The prototype is planning something big, and it's clearly very busy, but he still has eyes everywhere, alerting him of the right time to gather up a dead body and add it to his collection. Maybe he just doesn't have enough time to do the actual hunting, so he leaves that to us instead. He somehow knows that we're very capable, and it saves time on his part that he can continue doing whatever he's planning. But you have to admit, it's quite odd. The hour of joy already happened. The toys succeeded and all of the employees are dead. So why does the prototype feel the need to become stronger if his goal was already achieved? In fact, why are the toys still in this factory? The hour of joy was supposed to be an opportunity for the tortured souls to experience freedom. One would think that they achieved that. Mob Entertainment released a YouTube video titled Restricted Disappearance, which took place in 1992. The tape is about Huggy Wuggy escaping the facility and Playtime researchers trying to find him. At the end of the tape, Huggy is seen standing in front of a house. Out of all places, this is where he decided to go. Perhaps it was the home of a friend or a place he used to live in before he was an orphan, like a foster home of some sort. But Playtime Co. found a way to bring him back to the factory. And 13 years later, Huggy is still here. Why wouldn't he try to escape again? The only logical reasoning is that since Huggy is obedient to the prototype, he stays where his master is. But what if the prototype is remaining in the factory to wait for us? As mentioned before, the prototype is preparing something. He's gathering up toy parts and building up this army. Maybe the player has something valuable that is of use to the prototype, Or what if we ourselves are of use? Is it perhaps too far-fetched to theorize that the player is a bigger body and the prototype is using us in his grand plan? Now, this theory kind of goes off the rails, and quite frankly, there isn't that much evidence to support it, but it does bring up something worth mentioning: the death screams. In each chapter, after you die, you're greeted by a buzzing television and a static screen, each with a unique message for the player. Most of the screens end with the word "get up" and are usually motivating lines that we can assume come from various characters. This always struck me as odd, because instead of having a regular death screen that just cuts to black or gives you lore, these seem to be speaking directly to the player after death, indicating that the story is still going on in some way. But how could we be hearing or seeing these messages if we're dead? Recently, we explored the properties of the red gas. It's known for causing hallucinations and drowsiness. We also went over its origins. Elliot Ludwig initially did experiments with poppy gel on rats to work on regenerative properties, and we know that these substances would then go on to be used during the Bigger Bodies initiative. The red smoke wouldn't have just been produced to subdue children, but it could have also been used to keep them somewhat alive when they were transformed into their new bodies. And who is constantly regenerating themselves after they've died? Us, the player. Now, first and foremost, these are death screens, and as a gameplay mechanic, they're obviously meant to reboot us after losing so that we can continue playing. But the fact that we're receiving messages telling us to get up after we've died indicates that we might have some ability to revive ourselves from the dead, similar to how the souls of the children are still alive in the toys. And if we are a bigger body, it would make sense that we had some participation in the Hour of Joy. Plus, our character doesn't speak. This is kind of a stretch since the main characters of indie games don't usually speak, but there's a lot of banter between us, Poppy, and Ollie, and somehow we don't say a word. So could we be a bigger body that doesn't speak, like Huggy or Kissy? Maybe, but that's a bit too crazy to assume. But either way, the prototype must see some type of special quality in us. It could be our intelligence, strength, or niftiness with the grab pack. He could be using us to do his bidding because he knows that we have the skills. We might also be more similar to each other than we realize. If we're a bigger body, we could have something special that's attached to us that the prototype wants. Perhaps some special revival abilities. But why do you think the prototype hasn't killed us? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and click on this video right here.